Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. US markets were up about 0.3 to 0.4%, no major developments. European markets were also up about 0.5 to 0.75%, though the Eurozone finance ministers have not been able to find any solution to the Greece issue and they are going to be meeting up again on Monday. And when we look at the Asian markets, most of them are strongly up, particularly the Japanese markets are up 1%. To some extent, the Chinese PMI data that came out today morning, which was slightly better than expectations, are helping the sentiment. And when we look at the flows, the FIs were net buyers to the tune of about 175 crore, and the domestic institutions were sellers to the tune of almost about 145 odd crore. Back home, our markets were pretty okay yesterday. As the parliament session is going to start from today and it's likely to be stormy, particularly on the contentious issue of FDI in multi-brand retail and few other issues, but there are hopes that some kind of a settlement has been arrived at with few parties, so at least the government is not at risk as far as important bills and legislations are concerned, which is why we saw some kind of a resilience in the market. On that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O cues, ideas and strategies to look at in the F&O markets.
Good morning friends, let's have a view at derivatives now. Friends, in Nifty futures for last 5 to 6 trading sessions, around 5 to 6 trading sessions, we have been seeing that there was continuous reduction in the open interest. But in yesterday's trade, we have seen that Nifty futures had added around 3.16 lakh shares in the open interest, whereas on the other hand, we have seen that the cost of carry has further reduced marginally. So that's been indicating that some short positions have been accumulated above 5,600 levels. Now talking about the FIs data, there's not a pretty good or say interesting activity from on the futures and options front. But yes, what we have seen is that the implied volatility or say the volatility index VIX has decreased marginally, say by 50 to 100 basis point in yesterday's trade. So what we have seen is that 5,800 call options stands with highest number of shares in the open interest in the current matrix, whereas on the lower side we have seen that the activity has been distributed in with an interval of every 100 point strikes. So that is 5,600, 5,500 and 5,400. We've been seeing that markets was flirting around 5,600 levels and it has managed to close above that. So this would be the important level to watch on, whereas on the higher side we feel that the momentum would continue, but 5650 would act as a hurdle for the market. Now talking about the stocks from the intraday perspective, we have identified 3 stocks. We have given 4-star rating to Aurobindo Pharma. One can go long on that with support of 176 rupees 60 paisa. Titan is also looking good with a rating of 4-star and one can maintain a stop loss of 293 rupees 30 paisa. Whereas Dabur is looking a bit weak, so one can maintain a stop loss of 126 rupees 90 paisa to go short on. Thank you.
Friends, here are the important news and events that we are tracking today. First of all, as I said, the winter session of the parliament is going to begin today and it's going to be definitely stormy, and particularly on the issue of the FDI in multi-brand retail, what exactly happens as far as the discussion between the various opposition parties goes would be an important factor for the retail stocks per se. So Pantaloon, Trent and few other retail stocks is something that we will be watching out for in today's market. Finally, the government has actually decided to give more liquidity to LIC by allowing them to invest up to 30% of their capital into various companies, and this seems to be basically to help the divestment plan that the government has undertaken to mobilize close to about 30,000 crore, and we believe that this would definitely help because already LIC has reached a threshold limit of almost 15% for some of the top rung companies like ITC, Hindalco, L&T, so on and so forth. So overall this development is viewed a bit positive for the markets. The group of ministers has finally resolved their differences with the finance ministry and arrived at a formula based pricing for the pharma companies, and the final note has been given to the cabinet. So we believe that the final outcome would be known over the next few days, and that would be important for the domestic pharma companies like Cipla, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, so on and so forth. So we shall update you on the exact implications of this development over the next few days. The final process of divestment has begun with the Hindustan Copper being on the fray for a 4% stake, and also some of the other companies like NMDC, Oil India would be divested by about 20th of December, and even for NTPC, the final cabinet approval is likely to be taken today. So this entire process has begun, which is in a way positive for the market sentiment, because the success of this plan would mean that a part of the fiscal deficit issue could be addressed. In case of telecom companies, there are some positive news, and some of the freebies which the prepaid customers were being offered, particularly on the discount vouchers and talk time and so on and so forth, they are going to be slashed, which is definitely a big positive for the telecom companies. And there are also hopes and expectations that come January you would also see some upward revision in the tariff across the board. So we believe that these developments are positive for the telecom companies, so one can go long on Bharti and Idea on the back of these developments. DB Realty's subsidiary DB Hospitality is looking for a stake in the proposed project in Delhi near the airport, and this is definitely positive for DB Realty. One can go long there with a stop loss of 123 and a target of about 129 to 131. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a nice trading session. See you tomorrow at the same time.